Welcome back. The Finance Minister is in conversation with CNBC's Eunice, Yoon. Let's just listen to what the Finance Minister had to say.
So, thank you so much for being with us today. What do you think the impact of Brexit will be on the emerging world?
Well, I think in the immediate term, the first reaction is normally an exaggerated reaction, and that will be felt on markets, that will be felt on currencies, and since morning we've seen a lot of it. But I'm sure as the situation proceeds further, it will settle down. After all, it's going to be the same UK and the same European Union, except that you'll have to trade with them separately and you'll have to deal with them separately. That's the net impact of this. And I think once the world is able to figure this out, over the next few days, as the situation settles down, the economies in terms of both stock markets and currencies would start leveling out.
And what kind of impact do you think could that have on the Indian economy? Do you see any impact?
Well, I think in Indian economy, we really, in terms of the real economy, we have strong fundamentals. And if you have strong fundamentals in terms of a very deep foreign exchange reserve, a high growth rate, somewhat restrained inflation, not significant current account deficit, maintaining fiscal discipline. Now, if all these parameters are in place as they are in India, I think the impact of on the real economy will not be significant. The impact would be that there are a large number of Indian companies which have invested in the UK. India is one of the largest investors in the UK. And therefore, these companies will have to tailor their businesses accordingly. They'll have to deal separately with Europe and separately with the UK itself. And I don't think the way the world trade proceeds is going to be a very difficult proposition for them. They'll also realize it in the due course. As far as trade arrangements and negotiations are concerned, we'll have to live with doing rounds of them all over again. But I have not the least doubt that the situation will settle down as far as India is concerned, settle down fast. There's always a clear distinction between the real economy and the stock market economy. The impact of this decision on the stock market economy is more visible than it would be on the real economy.
When people look at the real Indian economy, many international investors are concerned about the pace of the reform program. What is the next step for the government?
I think in terms of the next step, there are two categories. One is certain legislative changes which are required and certain executive decisions to follow. The ones I can immediately think in terms of is that, and that's as per their importance, is the goods and services tax, which I think is due to come up before Parliament. We have some amendments to our banking laws, some amendments to the Indian companies law, and with regard to dispute resolution in public-private partnership contracts, there is a law that we intend introducing. In terms of an economic strategy, I think our emphasis is going to be on three areas. And the first is infrastructure creation. So we have a massive infrastructure program which is on, for which we need a lot of global investment. We need a lot of domestic investment. Investment into rural India, that's a priority area for us, because that's where really the growth can take place. And thirdly, to come out with strong social sector programs so that we can help the poor in the country to get out of that poverty levels.
One of the concerns for global investors has been the labor reform and land acquisition reform. Do you think that we'll see those reforms on a national level?
I don't think Indian labor laws really act as an obstacle as far as investment is concerned, because the Indian trade union movement also has been a fairly responsible trade union movement. The era of strikes and mandates being lost is all over, and I think we are able to negotiate good deals with them. And of course, there are some changes which are necessary, which we do bring from time to time. The labor unions only insist that they be consulted when these changes are made.
Well, after Governor Rajan stepped down, there was quite a bit of concern on the part of global investors that the reform program would take a back seat, or that the successor would be someone who'd be more compliant with the government.
Not in the least. You see, the economic reforms are really to be carried out by the government. It's the parliament which carries out the economic reforms. The monetary policy administration is really with the central bank. And there is no reason to believe that the reform process in India would at all either be slowed down or there would be a change in direction. The direction would be maintained, the pace would be maintained, because we do realize that this is India's opportunity and we are not willing to squander this opportunity.
Yeah. One other important opportunity for India, of course, is the relationship between India and China. China is such an important trading partner for you. Where do you see this economy going, and what does it mean for India?
Well, the Chinese economy grew and grew very rapidly over the last 3 decades. And I think there's a lot, as far as India is concerned, we have to pick up from the manner in which China grew. China is one of our largest trading partners, and we mutually have a lot of investments in each other's countries. And I think as far as the business relationship between India and China is concerned, it's growing and progressing by the day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's Finance Minister's first on